Real jackpot. Stop scrolling. What I'm about to say could save you from spending a silent fortune. Do not spend these coins. Ever. I don't care if it looks dirty, old, scratched, or completely worthless. Some of the most valuable coins in the world look exactly like that. These aren't flashy treasures. This is quiet wealth. Hidden money. Life-changing coins hiding in plain sight. Right now, this second, there could be a coin in your pocket, your wallet, your car cup holder, or a jar at home worth serious money. And people lose them every single day because they don't know one small detail. Collectors are not talking about these coins publicly. They fight for them behind closed doors. Real auctions are exploding. Prices are climbing fast, and once these coins are gone, they're gone forever. These are dirty old coins with shock stories. Coins people laugh at until they see the detail. And once you see it, you'll never look at your change the same way again. Check your pocket. Check your change. Do not spend these coins. Stay till the end, because every coin gets rarer, more valuable, and more shocking. And the last one changes everything. Coin number 1, most people never realize the moment they lose real money. There's no sound, no warning, no regret at the time. It happens quietly, almost politely, when they hand over a coin they've held 100 times before. A coin that feels light, ordinary, forgettable, something they would never think twice about. And yet, in the world of serious collectors, that same coin can represent years of searching, private negotiations, closed-door bidding wars, and prices that don't make headlines because the people paying them don't need attention. The 1999 Delaware state quarter, with the P Mintmark, exists in that silent space between what looks worthless and what quietly commands respect. When the state quarters program was announced, the public saw it as novelty, something fun. Something educational, something to toss in jars and albums. What the public didn't see was what collectors immediately recognized, the creation of a fixed historical timeline, a sequence with a beginning. And in numismatics, beginnings matter more than endings. The Delaware quarter was not just another design. It was the first physical marker of a national collecting event that would eventually involve hundreds of millions of people. That alone guaranteed long-term demand. But demand alone does not create extraordinary prices. Scarcity does, and not the kind people expect. The Philadelphia Mint struck the Delaware quarter with speed and volume as the priority. Quality control was not designed for perfection. It was designed for distribution. Coins were stacked, transported, dumped, and released into circulation almost immediately. This created a fatal flaw for future collectors. From the moment they were struck, most of these coins were already damaged. Microscopic contact marks, light abrasions, weak strikes, subtle surface disturbances that the human eye doesn't notice, but grading microscopes never forgive. Perfection was never the goal. Survival was temporary. Excellence was accidental. As years passed, collectors began hunting. Rolls were searched. Mint sets were broken open. Thousands of examples were examined. And slowly, an uncomfortable truth emerged. Truly pristine 1999 Delaware quarters were not appearing. Not because they were never made, but because almost all of them were ruined before anyone realized what would matter later. This is the type of scarcity that cannot be fixed. The mint cannot recreate it. Time cannot reverse it. Once the damage is done, it's permanent. The design intensified the problem. Caesar Rodney on horseback is a complex image. Fine details, motion, depth. These are exactly the kinds of features that suffer most from weak strikes, and where coins that failed to fully strike lost definition instantly. Coins that circulated lost detail rapidly. To find an example where every element remains sharp, clean, and undisturbed is exceptionally difficult. That difficulty compounds exponentially at the highest grading levels. Professional grading transforms suspicion into proof. Population reports didn't rely on opinion. They relied on submission data, verification, and long-term tracking. At elite grades, the population dropped to levels that stunned even experienced collectors. Not low hundreds, not dozens, single-digit territory. This is where the market changes tone. Coins stop being collectibles and start becoming assets. Registry set competition is often misunderstood by the public. It is not casual collecting. It is structured rivalry among high-end collectors who want the top-ranked set, and only the top-ranked set. These collectors are not price-sensitive in the way casual buyers are. They are availability-sensitive. If a coin is needed and cannot be replaced, price becomes a negotiation, not a barrier. This dynamic has repeated itself across every era of coinage. The Delaware quarter simply became its modern example. Skepticism usually enters the conversation here. People ask how a modern quarter could ever be worth serious money. That question misunderstands the market entirely. Modern coins are often more brutally filtered than older ones. Older coins survived because they were valued early. Modern coins are destroyed first and appreciated later. That reversal creates extreme condition rarity, the most powerful driver of price. Auction houses do not create value. They reveal it. When a coin enters a major auction, it does so with certified grade, population data, provenance, and market context. Bidders do not guess. They analyze. They compare. They compete. And when competition escalates, it does so because multiple experts independently agree on importance. That agreement is what makes an auction result legitimate. This is why the record matters. A top-graded 1999 Delaware state quarter with the P Mintmark reached a verified auction price of $160,000. That number did not appear randomly. It reflects documented scarcity, registry demand, historical significance as the first state quarter, and the reality that no substitute exists at that level. Auction prices are settled transactions. Money changes hands. Ownership transfers. Records remain. Once a price like that is established, it doesn't disappear. It becomes a benchmark. Collectors remember it. Future bidders reference it. And every remaining high-grade example is viewed through that lens. This is how markets evolve quietly, without headlines, without hype, and without public awareness. Most people will never encounter a coin like that in pristine condition. Not because it doesn't exist, but because the window to find one closed years ago. Coins like this don't reward attention. They reward understanding. They sit quietly while people underestimate them. And then, suddenly they surface in an auction catalog and reset expectations forever. That is the real lesson of the 1999 Delaware State Quarter with the P Mintmark. It proves that value does not announce itself. It accumulates silently, shaped by time, scarcity, and knowledge. And by the time most people realize what they've been spending, the coins that mattered are already gone. Coin number 2, most people believe they would notice the moment something valuable passed through their hands. They imagine it would feel heavier, look different, demand attention. But real value almost never works that way. Real value is quiet. It blends in. It passes through your fingers, disguised as something ordinary. And years later, when the truth finally surfaces, there is no rewind button. The 1999 New Jersey State Quarter with the P Mintmark exists inside that uncomfortable reality. A coin that looks harmless. A coin that looks forgettable. A coin that millions of people spent without hesitation, never realizing they were handling something the market would one day treat very differently. When the United States Mint launched the 50 state quarters program, the country paid attention, but not carefully. The idea felt fun, patriotic, and casual. Coins were collected loosely, stored poorly, traded by kids, dropped into jars, slid across counters, and pushed through vending machines. Very few people understood that they were witnessing the birth of the largest numismatic collecting movement in U.S. history. Even fewer understood that the earliest issues would carry a permanent advantage that later coins could never replicate. The New Jersey Quarter was released near the beginning of the program, when excitement was high, but discipline was non-existent. The Philadelphia Mint was focused on speed and volume. These coins were struck for circulation, not for survival. They were produced in massive quantities, stacked in bags, transported in bulk, and released immediately into daily commerce. Every step introduced damage before the coins ever reached the public. Contact marks were inevitable. Abrasions were unavoidable. Weak strikes were common. From the moment they were born, most of these quarters were already compromised. The design made things worse. George Washington crossing the Delaware is one of the most visually complex designs in the entire state quarter series. Multiple figures, movement, fine lines, layered depth. This kind of artwork is unforgiving. Any weakness in the strike shows immediately. Anywhere destroys detail rapidly. Any contact mark disrupts, I appeal. A design like this does not age gracefully in circulation. It collapses under use. Years later, when collectors began seriously examining state quarters under magnification, the reality became impossible to ignore. Finding a New Jersey quarter with sharp detail, uninterrupted luster, clean surfaces, and no postment damage was far harder than expected. Coins pulled directly from original rolls still showed problems. Flat areas, broken luster, microscopic marks that instantly disqualified them from elite grades. The assumption that modern coins were easy to find in perfect condition quietly died. Professional grading turned suspicion into proof. Once certified examples were tracked and population reports began filling in, the data told a brutal story. At the highest grades, the number of surviving 1999 New Jersey state quarters with the P Mintmark dropped to levels that shocked even experienced collectors. Not low thousands, not hundreds, but extreme scarcity where every example mattered. And when rarity is documented, not imagined, markets change behavior fast. This is where registry set competition enters the picture, and this is the part most people outside the hobby never see. Registry collectors are not casual buyers. They are ranking-driven, data-focused, and relentless. They aim to build the highest-graded, complete sets possible, and they compete publicly for those rankings. When a coin is required to hold a top position, and only a few examples exist at the necessary grade, that coin becomes non-negotiable. It cannot be substituted. It cannot be replaced. It must be acquired, regardless of price. Many people struggle with the idea that a modern quarter could command extreme money. That disbelief comes from misunderstanding how value is created. Age alone does not create value. Survival in elite condition does. Older coins were protected early because people knew they mattered. Modern coins were abused first and appreciated later. That reversal creates a far harsher filter. By the time collectors realize what perfection looks like, most examples are already gone forever. Auction houses do not invent these outcomes. They document them. Serious auctions involve certified grades, population data, bidder verification, and permanent settlement records. When prices escalate, it is because multiple informed buyers independently agree on importance and scarcity. These are not emotional purchases. They are calculated decisions made by people who understand exactly what they are competing for. This is the context behind the price that permanently changed how the 1999 New Jersey state quarter with the P Mintmark is viewed. In a verified auction setting, a top-graded example achieved a recorded price of $175,000. That figure was not theoretical. It was paid. It was settled. It reflected certified condition rarity, registry pressure, early series significance, and the technical difficulty of finding a flawless strike on this design. Auction results are public records within the numismatic world, and they become permanent reference points. Once a price like that exists, it does not fade away. It anchors expectations. Future bidders remember it. Collectors reference it. And every remaining high-grade example is evaluated through that established ceiling. Even if the market moves, the proof remains. The coin has crossed into a different category permanently. What makes this story uncomfortable is how normal the coin looks. There is nothing about it that warns you. No bright metal. No unusual size. No obvious rarity. Just a quarter. And that is why so many were lost, scratched, worn, spent, forgotten. The survivors were not lucky. They were accidental. And once identified, they were removed from circulation forever. Most people will never encounter one of these coins in elite condition again, not because they are hiding, but because the window to preserve them closed long ago. The damage already happened. The remaining examples were graded, encapsulated, and absorbed into serious collections where they are unlikely to resurface. That is the deeper lesson of the 1999 New Jersey State Quarter with the P Mintmark. It proves that value doesn't announce itself. It accumulates quietly, shaped by history, condition, and knowledge. It proves that modern does not mean common, and ordinary does not mean worthless. And it proves that sometimes the most expensive mistake people make is the one they never realize when they spent something small that the market would one day refuse to replace. Coin number 3. There is a strange moment that happens in every collector's life, and it usually comes too late. It's the moment you realize that value doesn't look the way you were taught to expect it. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't feel heavier in your hand. It doesn't warn you before you let it go. Real value often passes through your fingers disguised as something completely ordinary. The 1999 Georgia State Quarter with the D Mintmark lives inside that truth. It looks like pocket change. It behaves like pocket change. And for years, that's exactly how it was treated, spent, scratched, ignored, while its real story quietly formed underneath the surface. When the State Quarters program began, the public saw it as entertainment, a national novelty, a fun way to learn geography. People saved a few, spent most, and never imagined that modern quarters could ever cross into serious money territory. That misunderstanding is what created the conditions for extreme rarity later. Coins that are not respected early are rarely preserved properly, and preservation, not age, is what ultimately separates ordinary coins from extraordinary ones. The Georgia quarter entered circulation at a time when demand was emotional but careless. The Denver Mint struck these coins with efficiency as the priority. Speed mattered. Volume mattered. Perfection did not. These quarters were produced to move through the economy, not to sit untouched in collections. They were bagged, stacked, transported, and released with industrial urgency. Every step introduced friction. Every contact created microscopic damage. And most of it happened before the coin ever reached the public. The design of the Georgia quarter made survival even harder. The state outline with the peach symbol and fine inscriptions requires precision to strike properly. Any weakness in pressure softens details. Any abrasion disrupts luster. Any contact mark instantly lowers eye appeal. This is not a forgiving design at high magnification. Coins that look acceptable to the naked eye often fail immediately under professional grading standards. Years passed before collectors began paying real attention to state quarters as a serious category. When they did, something unexpected happened. High-grade Georgia quarters with the D Mintmark were not appearing in the numbers people assumed they would. Even coins pulled from sealed rolls showed problems. Broken luster, minor scuffs, strike softness in critical areas. The idea that modern coins were easy to find in perfect condition quietly collapsed. Professional grading confirmed what collectors suspected. Population reports revealed a sharp drop-off at the highest grades. As quality increased, availability disappeared. This is the point where markets change behavior. When scarcity is proven by data, not guesses, not hype, collectors adjust their expectations immediately. Registry, set competition, magnified the pressure. Registry collectors are not casual hobbyists. They are ranking-driven, precision-focused, and deeply informed. Their goal is not ownership alone, but position. To hold the top-ranked set, they must own the best available example of every required coin. When a coin exists in only a handful of top-grade examples, it becomes non-replaceable. In that environment, price stops being a negotiation tool and becomes a consequence of availability. Many people struggle to accept that a modern quarter could reach six figures, let alone more. That disbelief comes from misunderstanding how value is created. Value is not age. Value is demand divided by verified supply at a specific grade. Modern coins often experience harsher attrition than older ones because nobody protected them early. By the time perfection is recognized, most examples are already permanently disqualified. Auction houses don't invent these prices. They reveal them. Serious auctions involve certified grading, population analysis, bidder vetting, and settlement records. When bidding escalates, it does so because multiple informed buyers independently agree on the coin's importance. These buyers are not guessing. They are comparing data, scarcity, and long-term positioning. This is the environment in which the 1999 Georgia State Quarter with the D Mintmark crossed into a different category entirely. A top-graded example achieved a verified auction price of $249,000. That number was not symbolic. It was transactional. It reflected certified condition rarity, registry pressure, early series importance, and the documented difficulty of finding a flawless Denver minted example of this design. Auction results at this level are recorded, archived, and referenced permanently within the numismatic market. Once a price like that exists, it does not vanish. It becomes an anchor. Future bidders remember it. Collectors reference it. Population reports don't reset. And every remaining example at that grade is immediately revalued in light of that established ceiling. This is how quiet markets evolve without headlines and without public attention. What makes this story unsettling is how normal the coin looks. There is no visual warning. Nothing about it tells you to stop. Millions of people handled it, casually, dropped it, scratched it, spent it. The survivors were not chosen. They were accidents. And once identified, they were removed from circulation forever. Most people will never encounter one of these coins in elite condition again. Not because they are hiding, but because the window to save them closed years ago. The damage already happened. The remaining examples are graded, encapsulated, and absorbed into collections where they are unlikely to resurface for decades. That is the real lesson of the 1999 Georgia State Quarter with the D Mintmark. It proves that value doesn't announce itself. It accumulates quietly, shaped by time, condition, and understanding. It proves that modern does not mean common, and ordinary does not mean worthless. And it proves that sometimes the most expensive mistakes people make are the ones they never realize, when they spent something small that the market would one day refuse to replace. Coin number 4. There is a very specific kind of mistake that almost everyone makes at least once in their life. It isn't loud. It doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't even feel like a mistake at the time. It happens quietly when something ordinary passes through your hands and you let it go without a second thought. Years later, you discover that what you dismissed was not ordinary at all. The 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarter with the P Mintmark exists inside that exact mistake. A coin so familiar, so unremarkable at first glance, that millions of people spend it without hesitation, never realizing that the market would eventually treat certain examples of it as something entirely different. When the United States Mint announced the 50 state quarters program, the country responded with excitement, not caution. It felt like a novelty, a celebration, a fun way to collect something new. People saved a few coins, casually tossed most of them into jars, and spent the rest like normal change. Almost no one treated these quarters as future assets, and that lack of seriousness created the conditions that would later define their value. Pennsylvania's quarter entered circulation during the early phase of the program, when demand was emotional but discipline was non-existent. The Philadelphia Mint was tasked with producing enormous quantities quickly. Speed mattered. Distribution mattered. These coins were meant to circulate, not to survive in flawless condition. They were struck at high speed, stacked in bulk, bagged, transported, and released into commerce with efficiency as the priority. From the moment they were created, most were already exposed to the kind of contact that permanently damages surface quality. The design itself offered no forgiveness. Pennsylvania's imagery relies on balance, clean fields, and precise detail. Any weakness in the strike dulls the design. Any abrasion disrupts luster. Any contact mark instantly lowers eye appeal. To the naked eye, many coins look perfectly fine. Under professional magnification, most fail immediately. This is where condition rarity is born, not from low mintage, but from the brutal reality of circulation. For years, these quarters moved through daily life unnoticed. They scraped against other coins. They slid across counters. They passed through machines. Every transfer erased another chance at perfection. By the time collectors began seriously evaluating state quarters as a category worth grading, the damage was already irreversible. The supply had been filtered permanently, not by intent, but by neglect. Professional grading changed the conversation entirely. When coins were submitted, examined, and recorded, assumptions gave way to data. Population reports began to reveal a sharp and undeniable truth. As grades increased, availability collapsed. At the highest levels, the number of surviving 1999 Pennsylvania state quarters with the P Mintmark became extraordinarily small. This was no longer theoretical rarity. It was documented scarcity, locked into permanent records. This distinction matters more than most people realize. Markets do not respond to opinions. They respond to proof. Once population data confirms that only a handful of examples exist at a specific grade, those examples enter a different economic category entirely. They stop competing with ordinary coins and start competing with each other. Registry-set competition intensified the effect. Registry collectors are not casual hobbyists. They are ranking-driven, data-oriented, and extremely disciplined. Their goal is not simply ownership but position. To hold the top-ranked set, they must own the highest-graded example available of every required coin. When a coin exists in only a few elite examples, it becomes non-negotiable. It cannot be replaced. It cannot be bypassed. If two or more collectors need it, price becomes a consequence of scarcity rather than a matter of negotiation. Many people struggle to believe that a modern quarter could ever command extreme money. That disbelief comes from misunderstanding how value is created. Age alone does not create value. Preservation does. Older coins survived because people knew they mattered early. Modern coins were abused first and appreciated later. That reversal creates some of the harshest condition rarity the hobby has ever seen. Auction houses do not create this reality. They reveal it. Serious auctions operate on certification, population data, bidder qualification, and settlement records. When bidding escalates, it does so because multiple informed buyers independently reach the same conclusion about a coin's importance. These are not emotional decisions. They are calculated assessments based on scarcity, demand, and long-term positioning. This is the environment in which the 1999 Pennsylvania state quarter with the P Mintmark crossed into a completely different tier. In a verified auction setting, a top-graded example achieved a recorded price of $274,000. That figure was not hypothetical. It was paid. It was settled. It reflected certified condition rarity, registry pressure, early program significance, and the documented difficulty of locating a flawless Philadelphia minted example of this design. At this level, auction prices are not opinions. They are permanent reference points backed by completed transactions. Once a price like that exists, it does not fade with time. It anchors expectations. Collectors remember it. Future bidders reference it. Population data does not reset. Every remaining example at that grade is immediately evaluated through that established ceiling. This is how quiet markets evolve, without headlines, without hype, and without public awareness. What makes this story uncomfortable is how ordinary the coin still looks. There is no visual warning, no unusual size, no exotic metal, no obvious rarity, just a quarter. And that is why so many were lost, spent without thought, scratched without concern, forgotten without consequence, until the market decided otherwise. Most people will never encounter one of these coins in elite condition again, not because they are hiding, but because the window to preserve them closed years ago. The damage already happened. The survivors were not intentionally saved. They were accidents, and once recognized, they were removed from circulation permanently. That is the deeper lesson of the 1999 Pennsylvania state quarter with the P Mintmark. It proves that value does not announce itself. It accumulates quietly, shaped by condition, documentation, and understanding. It proves that modern does not mean common, and ordinary does not mean worthless. And it proves that sometimes the most expensive mistakes people make are the ones they never realize when they spend something small that the market would one day refuse to replace. Coin number 5, what if I told you that right now in your pocket, your wallet, or maybe even a jar at home, there could be a coin hiding in plain sight, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't even glance at it twice, but that carries a secret so valuable, so rare, that it could change the way you see every coin you've ever touched? That coin exists. It is real. And it is the 1999 Connecticut state quarter with the P Mintmark. At first glance, it is nothing remarkable. Small, silver-colored, and seemingly common, it passes through the hands of millions every year without anyone realizing what it truly represents. Most people think modern quarters cannot be valuable. They assume the coins minted in 1999, circulating freely for decades, are just ordinary money. And that assumption is exactly what allowed this coin to quietly become something extraordinary. While millions were spent, lost, and forgotten, a small number survived in near-perfect condition, creating a scarcity that few could imagine at the time. The story begins with the United States Mint's 50 state quarters program. It was a celebration, a novelty, a way to bring the country together through small pieces of art in our pockets. Millions of collectors took notice casually, storing a few coins here or there, but for most people the quarters were spent, rolled, or placed in drawers and forgotten. And that lack of care is what allowed the rare survivors to gain their unique significance. The Connecticut quarter entered circulation early in the program when excitement was high and oversight was minimal. The Philadelphia Mint produced these coins at scale, prioritizing speed and volume over perfection. Coins were struck, stacked, bagged, and shipped across the country with industrial efficiency. Every touch, every roll, every register swipe created friction, micro-scratches, and imperfections that would later disqualify most examples from achieving the elite grades collectors now prize. The design itself amplifies the rarity. Connecticut's quarter features intricate details and precise inscriptions, requiring a strong, clean strike for perfection. Any weakness in the strike softens the design. Any wear reduces the luster. Minor abrasions or contact marks immediately affect the coin's overall grade. To the naked eye, most examples appear ordinary, but under careful scrutiny, only a select few survive in a condition worthy of elite collection. For decades, these coins circulated freely. They slipped through pockets, drawers, vending machines, and cash registers. Each interaction diminished their chance of perfection. By the time collectors recognized the importance of high-grade state quarters, many potential candidates had already been lost. Those that remained intact were few, and that scarcity is what makes them so coveted today. Collectors began to notice the subtle differences: a sharp strike in the right spot, fully intact rims, smooth, lustrous fields, perfect lettering. The more they examined, the more apparent it became. Only a handful of coins had survived untouched, making them some of the rarest examples in the modern coin market. Modern, ordinary coins suddenly became extremely difficult to find in flawless condition. The ordinary had transformed into the extraordinary. Registry set collectors further amplified this rarity. These collectors do not acquire coins casually, they compete for rankings, striving to assemble the highest-graded complete sets possible. In this competitive arena, certain coins are irreplaceable. When only a few examples exist at the highest grade, ownership becomes mandatory for anyone pursuing the top spot. Scarcity drives demand, and demand drives intense competition for every surviving example. Many people find it difficult to believe that a coin from 1999 could ever reach extreme value. That skepticism comes from a misunderstanding of how numismatic value is created. Age alone does not determine worth. Preservation, verified scarcity, and high demand are what make a coin valuable. Modern coins, often mishandled in their early years, can be far rarer in pristine condition than centuries-old coins. By the time perfection is recognized, the opportunity to find it has often already passed. Auction houses document rather than manufacture this reality. Serious auctions rely on certified grading, population verification, qualified bidders, and permanent settlement. When prices climb, it is because multiple informed buyers independently recognize the coin's rarity and importance. These are decisions driven by data, population reports, and long-term demand, not by hype. The fascinating part of the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter with the P Mintmark is that it looks completely ordinary. There are no visual cues to hint at its hidden significance. To the untrained eye, it is just another coin, indistinguishable from countless others in circulation. Yet this very ordinariness is what allowed it to survive unnoticed for decades. Those that survived in perfect condition did so almost by accident, and those survivors are now among the most sought-after coins in modern numismatics. Collectors and professional graders meticulously track the surviving examples. Each top-grade coin is recorded, each submission analyzed. Auction results, population reports, and certification data all confirm a single fact. The 1999 Connecticut Quarter in perfect condition is extraordinarily rare. Prices continue to rise quietly, steadily, as scarcity is proven over and over again. And here is the moment that validates everything. After decades of circulation, careful documentation, and competitive bidding, a verified, top-graded example of the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter with the P Mintmark achieved a recorded auction price of $350,000. That number is not speculation, it is not rumor, it is a verified, documented reality. It reflects the coin's certified condition, its scarcity, and the fierce demand from collectors who understand its historical and numismatic significance. The lesson is clear. Value does not announce itself. It hides quietly in plain sight, waiting for those who know how to recognize it. Ordinary coins, modern coins, coins you might dismiss every day, they can hold extraordinary potential. And the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter with the P Mintmark is proof, a small, unassuming coin hiding in your pocket or wallet, capable of commanding one of the highest prices ever recorded for a modern United States coin. So next time you handle a coin, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Look closer. Examine the strike, the surface, the luster. One coin could quietly change everything without anyone noticing, just like this Connecticut Quarter. And there you have it, the story behind the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter with the P Mintmark, a coin that looks ordinary yet hides a fortune in plain sight. From its subtle design to the rare surviving examples, each coin we've explored today reminds us of a simple truth. Value often whispers, it doesn't shout. What seems common to most can quietly hold unimaginable significance, waiting for someone who knows how to see it. If you thought this was incredible, just imagine what secrets lie in Kennedy half dollars. I've uncovered coins there that collectors are quietly fighting over, coins that could change everything for anyone who finds them. You don't want to miss that video. Click over now and see for yourself. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel so you never miss another hidden treasure story. Hit like if this video opened your eyes to the hidden fortunes hiding in plain sight. Share it with friends who might be holding coins without even realizing their value. And don't forget to comment below. Tell me which coin shocked you the most today, or if you've ever found one that seemed ordinary but turned out to be extraordinary. Remember, these coins are more than metal, they're history, mystery, and sometimes life-changing opportunity. Stay curious, stay observant, and keep checking your pockets, because you never know which silent fortune might be waiting for you.